Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another CNC Router Mixer. These every Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Um, I hope that you will and put a link in the comments with the link to use to join us here on Zoom. And I'm looking forward to seeing several of you join us tonight. Um, if you've been following us for the last couple of weeks, you know I've been dealing with a cold and laryngitis and everything. I'm feeling better today, and I'm really thankful for all the folks who reached out to me and checked on me, seeing how I was doing and what have you. It's been an interesting journey, but I think the worst is over now. So fantastic. And any rate, I um, hope that you um, can join us tonight. I sent out a link to the usual cast of characters who are following us, but if you haven't got access to that link so far, um, I will share it with you now. Oh, we see our first person joining in, but I'm going to post this again anyway, just in case uh, you want to come join us and you didn't see it earlier. How you doing tonight, Kurt?
I'm doing pretty good.
Oh, very good. I'm getting text messages just as we're getting started here. There we go. Send that out. Folks asking me if I need anything. So fantastic. Um,
You're
I
sounding better.
Yeah, thank you. I of course have not been out in the shop because I hadn't felt like it until maybe Sunday, Saturday or Sunday. I felt better later. So nice to get that out of my system and moving on to other things. Yeah, last week was probably painful to listen to, but I posted it on YouTube anyway, so anybody wants to go and get a listen, they can do that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I spent a little bit of time earlier today looking at some of the newer entry level routers that are coming out. Some of them are getting pretty good. Um,
Yes, they are.
yeah, they're not concentrating on being the solution for everything, being big enough to cut every project. They're focusing in on their little niche, for the crafter that is out there. And they appear to be getting more rigid and more user friendly. So it's kind of interesting watching the evolution of these things. Have you had your eye on any of them?
No, I'm working on my own, and I'm slowly but surely getting it more closer. I got the E chains in, and I'm
Hmm.
wiring up the E chains, and um, I'm finalizing the gantry plates. Got, everything's custom made,
Hmm.
and I'm finding a few things that need to be changed a little bit as you go along. I've never built a teeny CNC before. And I've never had to design one by myself.
Hmm.
So this is my first one,
A
and
lot goes into it, huh?
yeah, there's a lot going into it.
Hmm.
And then I'm realizing these little NEMA 23 motors are stronger than I thought they were.
Yeah, yeah. I still have NEMA 23s on my router out there. I never went to the 34s or anything because I didn't need them. I've got those on, that size on my milling machine, but yeah, I didn't need them for the router that I was building anyway.
Yeah, so I got these little motors, you look at him, you say, well, then it's not strong enough to do anything. Well, then you try him and you realize, oh, yeah, they're way plenty strong.
Hmm.
You, I'm not getting the speed out that some people might want, but um, you're not doing a lot of rapid traveling anyway in a smaller machine.
Right. That's true. A lot of the entry level machines were shipping with even NEMA 17s at one point. Um, I've got a Stepcraft that has NEMA 17s, and it does a good job at the speeds and feeds that it was designed to cut in. So, um, the only
Yeah,
the only time you need the really big motors is when you're planning to make really big cuts. And
yeah,
yeah, and it's not always a bigger motor is faster because sometimes that's not the case. But the bigger motors tend to have more torque, which is
right.
kind of matters. Um, yeah, I the Stepcraft router is the 600 size, one of their original first series before they started coming out with their newer beefier stuff. Um, but even so, it was nice. It was a nice um, router, nice solution. Um, welcome, Tally.
Hey, what's going on?
We're just talking about some of the beginner routers that are out there now. There's a lot of new ones coming in, and they do some pretty nice stuff.
Yeah, I see that. I was looking at some of the new routers that's out there now.
Yeah, you know that Kurt's building his own, so that's
Oh,
kind of
is it?
nice. Yeah, he's got it almost done.
Okay. What?
Well, are they ever done? Yeah,
No, they're
yeah,
not.
no,
Even when you buy them already assembled.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Uh,
Tally, you had some adventures on the work site there yesterday. Woo!
man, I tell you, it's so funny. Yeah, it's always a sight, man. But
Yep.
the good thing we laugh about it because I've worked with these guys for so long, and they know I clown them,
Hmm.
on the job site, and it's always something. Um, but the thing is like every job is different, even with the same crews.
Hmm.
Because you have these supply companies, they just drop these trusses and roof packages. They just drop them off like anywhere and then expect, when I pull up, like, where's the crane going to set up? You know? And, the guys, they don't know. Some of them think that, the crane can just do anything, um, regardless of lift any type of weight and it just have infinite boom. And I have to tell them, like, man, I can't set up right here. I need to expand the outriggers and you got to move this material here and you got to move this material there. And we spend so much time just uh, moving material just to be able to start on the job.
Yep.
So it ended up being I want to say a 10, what I said, it's like a 10 hour, it's maybe like a 10 or 11 hour endeavor. And they was like, oh, you could do it this morning. It's only gonna take an hour and a half.
Yeah. That's all we budgeted for, an hour and a half. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. uh, yeah.
Yeah. So
That's unfortunate.
it's fun. I mean, we laughed about it today. I was like, oh, look at here, the 1.5 hour crew.
Mm,
Yeah. Uh yeah, it's always fun. But the day was better than yesterday. Yesterday was very windy.
yeah.
Yesterday it was very windy, so it was kind of risky yesterday, especially having a 35-foot gable,
Hmm.
break in half right in the midair. Yeah. So that
Yeah.
was a little challenging.
Yeah. Tally showed some pictures of the place he was getting ready to help put together, and there were just so many areas where me as a layman, I'm looking at that and saying, how is he going to get this up over that? And everything where it's got to go. I mean, it's right next to the house next to it, and yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why you pay the professionals, because they know how to do it.
And then the gable blew after I trying to bring it down to the ground, blew and knocked the porta potty over.
Glad nobody was in it.
Yeah.
uh,
So
gotta
yeah,
love it.
it's fun.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I took us off track, didn't I?
Thank you.
Well, so what?
Right. All right. So
Fun
what
story.
have you decided with the Thunder Laser or the Eon?
I've decided to do more research because
Okay.
it's a lot closer than it looks. But
Okay.
prior to even hearing about the Eon, I was leaning towards Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you always do due diligence before
Mm-hmm.
you go down any path. And it'd probably be the middle of summer before I make a move anyway. But it's interesting interesting to see how they've opened up the market, because prior to maybe in the last year or two, when they came out with the Thunderbolt, um, getting a laser with an RF module, there were like 3 or 4 choices here in the country. There was Epilogue, there was Universal Laser, and
Troy Tech.
one more time.
Troy Tech.
Yep, yep. That was it. Everybody else was these glass
Mm-hmm.
laser tubes from China. Um, and there's nothing really wrong with the glass tubes, except they're more fragile, and
Life
they
expectancy.
don't last. Yeah, they don't last quite as long, life expectancy wise. Uh, but there's also some um, things that make the RF module not as user friendly either, because when it finally goes and you have to recharge it, you're digging deep in your pocket to do that, because it's not inexpensive. So,
Well, I've been on my RF since 2012.
mhm,
Same tube, 50
yeah,
watt. Um, it depends on how you cut with it.
yeah,
I never cut at 100% power.
hmm
I I rarely run it at 90%. I control all my cutting power mainly by speed. That's
hmm
it. Um, I've seen through my experience and being on a lot of forums, when people get new lasers, the first thing they do is thinking they can just ramp up the power and just plow through whatever. And it doesn't work like that.
yeah,
Like for instance, like glass, glass, granite, acrylic, barely use between 12 to 20% of your power range. Um, Glass is more like 55%, and probably about match with the speed is probably about 60%. That's
hmm
because all you're doing is really just breaking the surface.
yeah.
Um,
And again, these numbers will vary from laser to laser. Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah. But when you're doing like acrylic and stuff like that, very, very low power.
mm,
Uh, you want to kind of just go across it real fast. That gives the better etching and less spot size. The faster you move across it, you keep that spot size small.
hmm
So that's mainly what I found out throughout my years of engraving with different lasers.
Hmm.
So I had maybe like let's see. I had the Camtech, I had two Epilogues, I had a G Winky, which is a
Hmm.
glass tube Chinese laser,
Hmm.
and I had a Sign Warehouse Pinnacle, which is a
Yeah.
25-watt laser, RF laser.
Hmm.
And I can tell you by far the Camtech, which ran with Win CNC, and the Epilogues, hands down, are like
Hmm. Yeah.
your your better lasers. You know, you put them together side by side, you can't tell which one came off the other. The Camtech was a little slow because it's gantry style, like a big
Hmm.
it was a 4x8 CNC with a laser head on it, pretty much. So it was a little slow.
Hmm.
But if you're doing a big project, I just let it run. Um, Whereas the glass tube during that time, it was a little finicky and very temperamental. So you definitely have to keep it in a controlled temperature
Temperature
environment.
environment. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a problem here.
If it get too hot, it's gonna for you, if you get a 50-watt laser and it gets too hot, it's gonna need 150 watts to get 50 watt. I mean, it's just they're not efficient at all.
Yeah. We
Uh,
have the other extreme, too cold.
it's too cold.
Then
So
you have to worry about it cracking.
yeah, so if it's too cold, it could sweat. It can sweat, which kills the power also. I made that mistake the first time. I killed my tube in 1 month because I turned the chiller down a little too cold. It was like at 68, and it prematurely wore out the tube because it's trying to overcome that. I want to
Yeah.
say between 72 to 76 degrees is the sweet spot for a laser operation.
Yeah.
Um, for them
Yes.
for those
So
gases to work their miracles.
yeah. So it may have to come indoors
Mhm.
instead of shop. Because I don't heat the shop 24/7.
Okay.
Um, and we have extreme temperatures here in the snowiest place in the US right now.
Right.
You know, um, it just, I imagine you'd have the same issue, Kurt, because, up in Michigan, it's not always warm. Yep.
Well, I have a heated garage, so I don't
It's safe.
I don't worry the small things like that.
Yep.
My first winter here from Louisiana, it got down to 15, 20 below zero. And I went in my car and my hands are freezing on the steering wheel. And I said, this is not right. This is not the way to live. So I put a little heater in my garage and insulated the walls and finished the garage, put a heater in. Now I have a nice garage.
Hmm.
I can work in there rain or shine, hot or cold. It's nice. So, the small things of life are a garage door opener, a heated garage, and a CNC machine. That's
Hmm.
that's all a man needs.
Yep. Well, an insulated garage door up here, but what Telly is
Yeah,
that might
yeah,
not be so
yeah,
important. Yeah.
yeah. Well, you got to have the
Yep.
insulation here, of
Oh,
course.
well, we
Hmm.
definitely have to
But
have the insulation here. I tell you
yeah,
what, that's like I have my walls and my door insulated. The roof is not insulated, and you can tell. So I need to put something up there. But it was a big difference when I insulated my door. Like I knew right off, insulating the door. But I do need to insulate my roof,
Hmm.
because it's a metal roof. So when that sun get
well,
that
I
sun,
had a little house and I had a little house in Arlington when I first lived in Florida there,
uh-huh,
and there was no insulation. It was built in the 50s. It had the jalousie windows and no insulation. The first thing I did was replace the windows and insulated the ceiling.
yeah,
And the next day, I could tell the difference because
yeah,
it's like putting a blanket up there. You could feel the heat coming through the ceiling, And after I insulated and put a little fan in, you couldn't feel the heat anymore.
Right. Yeah.
I've never well, that's not true. I was about to say something. I've never owned property in a place that was hot like that. I have lived in I lived down in Mississippi and Arkansas for a couple of years while I was going to college, uh, and it gets hot there, really hot and humid.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, upstate New York, we've got basically two seasons, um, winter and construction, and that's that's about it.
Yeah, I lived in Daytona Beach when I was a kid, when I was young, and nobody had air conditioners.
Mhm.
And then they started coming out with the little window units, and people would have one for their bedroom. But the we had the high ceilings and the tall windows, the double hung windows, so you pull the top down and lift the bottom up, and that way the air would circulate inside the house. And that's all you had. You had a fan, and that was it. And people lived like that with no problem. I mean, and then when the construction boom hit there, they started putting in air conditioned apartments. Well, everybody had to have an air conditioner then, but you just didn't have an air conditioner, not even an air conditioned car.
Yeah, yeah. You have to have that.
Well, that's well, Tally's young. He doesn't like. He never had to experience all that.
No, I don't need to. I've been in a crane with no AC. So I tell you what, it's a baking box. I can tell you that. I've been in a crane with the worst thing you can have in a crane is tempered glass with a plexiglass roof. That you are in
Hot
a
house.
microwave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
How's
Well,
everybody?
in Florida, what you do is you fight for your parking spot under the biggest oak tree.
Yeah.
Not sure that works with the crane though.
Right.
It's been
Thanks,
a
David.
while. How's everybody going?
All right,
Very
how you
good.
doing, Steve?
Yeah,
Uh,
heard you
we
did
have
well in Washington.
yes, we did very well. It was just right to repair passed overwhelmingly. One
Nice.
person in the Senate said no. Uh, it went back to the House for confirmation vote, and it was the exact same. Only three nays, 97 yays, and or one nay, 94 yays, and 3 absences or something like that. So it was handed to the governor today.
How
Fantastic.
can anybody say no to right to repair? That's just beyond my. That just doesn't make sense to me. But
Yeah, but I'm upset today, man.
Uh-oh.
I've had something on my eBay search list for 2 years, waiting on a specific model of piece of test equipment. You have to see this. The words don't explain it. Can I share? Can I share?
Yep. Yep.
a little frustration going there.
Was it sold from up under you?
No, that's the way the guy shipped it. Oop, wrong way. Wrong way.
Oh,
Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Wrong way. Oop. Right there.
Oh,
oh no, you did that to a microscope?
Yeah.
What the heck's the matter with these people?
Oh man.
Is it
I have-
broken?
It's broken. It don't look that bad. One of the eyepieces got kind of bent a little.
Punch through the box. Yep. See
And
it.
there's a slot where a screw rides in, and you don't tighten that up very tight. Well, that slot got damaged, so it's right here. So it allows your eyepieces to go like that. So when you move it, your inner pupillary distance, your eye boots, eye cups stay where they're at, and when you do your diopter adjustment for in and out, it allows them to move and rotate. Well, what if you see the camera port right here? That's the big one.
Hmm.
I I was disassembling it to inspect it to see, what was broke, to see if it was salvageable. And I called the manufacturer and they seen this shipping damage before. What happens is the side load, it hits it, so you have your threads where it threads into the base, and when the side load happens, it goes like that.
Yeah.
So your threads get impinged. So when I removed the tube screws in, when I removed the tube, it pulled the threads right out.
Of course.
Because it's soft aluminum. I'm like, no.
This is
And
Zeiss.
this is $4,000.
Hmm.
I don't understand why people do that. Just, oh man.
I had to shut my video off when I opened it up. This is where I shut my video off because I just started going so many 4-letter words.
That's ridiculous. You
Yeah.
don't ship anything like that, man.
Not even Amazon at least puts in the little blow up pillow. It wouldn't have done any good. But
Yeah.
there's nothing in that box.
There was, the only thing that was in that box was a Priority Mail cardboard box on top of it. I'll be posting the video of me unboxing it. Man. And then the guy blames it on his friend that he was busy and he had his friend ship it. I can't believe that.
Yeah, that
Well, his
doesn't
friend is a
matter.
life then
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He should give you your money back, and I'm sure that they will.
There's some salvageable parts that I can use from it, but I wanted the trinocular so that I can stream, board CNC board repairs.
Yeah.
And I mean it. I had to remove the tube anyways because I had to get an adapter to put in a different tube to get a bigger viewing area. But the base also has a crack.
Yeah, get your money back, dude. I know you waited 2 years to find one, but oof.
I mean, I think it could be repaired if if you reamed out a hole and did a brass bushing with M25 by 75 thread and did like a press fit or something because it's real tight. But that's a lot of intricate little threads.
Yeah, it might be easier to try and buy the replacement tube from the manufacturer. Of course, they're
It's not
probably
the
not
tube,
right to repair.
It's not the tube, it's where it mounts to.
Yeah.
And they don't sell that as a separate part.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's not as described. Send it back. Give him a ding.
I'm like, I wanted, there was a few things I wanted for, I didn't need the stand, but I wanted the fine focus adjustment, and that's all usable. So I'm like, so I messaged him. I'm like, hey, I'll open a return, but if you want to come in an agreement, I'll take it for parts because there's some stuff on there I can use.
75% refund.
And I'll, I can attempt to repair, but I don't think it'll be successful.
Yeah, and even if you went to a place like Send Cut Send, or someplace where they could make the tube to your spec, or the mount for the tube, you're just throwing good money after bad, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I was more, the only reason why I removed the tube, I was going to accept it. The only reason why I removed the tube is I wanted to shine a flashlight in there and check the prisms and mirrors out to see if anything came
Yeah.
unepoxied or whatever. And yeah, that it just didn't take much pressure at all. Just in those tubes, it just came right
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, you don't precision instruments like that, you just
Yeah, you
don't have
can't
the
throw them in a
facility to repair
box.
it. Yeah. You can't throw them in a box. You can you need like test equipment to align things, because that's why you pay the big bucks to
Yeah,
to align it. Even I'm not even sure if you had a CMM machine whether that would be good enough
yeah.
to do.
I don't know.
Sorry for the
It's
frustration.
it's upsetting, but it's eBay, so
Yeah, sorry for your loss.
yeah. I negotiated back and forth with him to about a grand on it. So I figured $1,000. Even my postman, he looked at me when he delivered this. He's like, "You're not going to be happy because the eyepieces were sticking out the side of the box."
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Wow.
I attempted repair on the tube to see if I could get it to thread back in. The threads were just too mangled. They galled up too much.
Hmm.
So, but when I called Avon, they said they seen that before. So
Yeah.
it's
Wow.
inadequate packing, man.
Yeah.
But that
That
those
inadequate. That was uh, heinous. That was like
yeah,
negligent
that was
packing. Yeah.
very negligent.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
they recommend packing it 4 to 6 inches of 1 inch bubble all the way around.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, something
to
like
take it
that.
apart, don't leave.
Something like that. I would have put foam or bubble wrap around the uh the microscope, and then I would have put it inside of a box, inside the box, and put padding
Yep.
around that. There was plenty of room in that box
Oh yeah.
to suspend that sucker in there.
Yeah, I mean, why put it together? Why put it in there all whole and assembled? They could have pulled the head off. It's only a thumb screw, and the head comes right off. They could have put that in a box, put that inside there, and it would have just that would have been fine. you know?
Huh.
But
Wow. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
man.
At least it didn't come in like some of the hammier, probes that you see people post pictures of, where they're all, they buy them on eBay and they put them in a paper bag.
Yeah. The like the Hammer test probe, the 3D tester, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you see people posting pictures of those with the horrible eBay sellers. It's like, yeah, I got hit.
Yeah, it was broke before they sold it, most likely.
I'm thinking maybe this guy's trying to scam. Maybe it was broke. Maybe he knew something was wrong with it or something, threw it in there and going to try to do a return insurance scam or something.
Who knows? The only, if you get that kind of vibe from them, maybe, but it
Yeah,
may have, it may
I'm
have
just
been a
getting a weird
case.
vibe.
Yeah. The Heimer probe you're talking about, when I got mine with from Tormach, it came in its own little foam lined briefcase kind of situation. Or wait, no, was the Heimer, or was that the height probe? I think that was the height probe. The Heimer came in a molded foam padded thing. You had to assemble the holder to the top of it and everything, and so it was like it would have been very difficult to damage it. You'd probably drop the whole box from shoulder height, and it wouldn't have damaged the probe inside because there was so much padding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just had some bad luck this last 3 or 4 weeks, man. It's just
Mm-hmm. But think about the good news, though. At least right to repair passed.
yeah, but it don't take effect until January.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. Yeah.
But I started my new streaming PC, so that's almost done. That was another poor packing, poor shipping situation. They Amazon shipping, you know how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
RAM, they stuck it in a paper bag, and their new paper bags they're using, they didn't put it in a
I didn't
box.
know Amazon was doing paper bags.
Oh yeah, they're
Yeah.
doing. I don't have one around here, but I got. Yeah, I one stick was dead. So then I had a power supply that has ran constantly for about 2.5 years, 24/7 computer power supply. So after I diagnosed and figured the RAM out, I, got good RAM in it, fired it up, sparks flew out the back of the power supply.
Voltage regulator or capacitor?
Don't know, don't care. It has a 10-year warranty. And that's when when I buy power supplies or something like that for a computer, it's got to be the highest warranty out there. You pay out the nose for it up front, but I mean, I think I paid $180 for the power supply.
Mm-hmm.
And if I would have bought a $100 power supply, it probably wouldn't have ran for 2 years straight.
So only electronic issue I had when I got the Tormach was with the PathPilot PC.
Yeah, they use the cheapest parts possible.
I had the motherboard die on one of those, and it wasn't easy to find one to replace it. But when I finally did, now I know what they used. But unfortunately, I have a Series 3 um, lathe, not the latest greatest brand, because the latest ones are Ethernet, and I could have used pretty much anything. But the old ones were what was it, PCIe, I think.
Yeah,
And
7896. If you're running a Mesa card, you could pretty much use anything.
Yeah, but
if you were running the old Mach, then you were stuck with their specific tested low jitter motherboard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but anyway, I don't think I've got it out here, but it doesn't really matter enough to pull it out. But the when I found the motherboard, I bought two from two different sources. So I've got a backup one. I hope that it's good, ready to go. But yeah, it's kind of how it all happened. But I've been through two PCs on my router table over the years since we built it. When did we build those? About 2009, 10, around in there, I think, Kurt.
Yeah, somewhere in that time frame, 2008, 2009,
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah. For mine, what was dying was the monitors, because they were like the first generation flat screen monitors, and they started making them better later. It's just the way it was. But when the monitors were going, they were taking things with them.
Yeah, it's generally what happens with computers. You know, I'm surprised in that power supply when it didn't take out a $400 motherboard.
Hmm.
But now motherboards and stuff have protection in them to prevent that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, nothing's been going right on that build, man. It's just been one thing after another.
Yep.
Okay, well, now I have to go to Windows 11 because all the drivers for it are not compatible with Windows 10. Uh,
Evening, Scott. Glad to
Good
see
evening.
you sneaking there. Yeah,
Yep.
glad to see you. Yeah. I think we broke Ned uh, with all this daylight savings time stuff.
Yep.
are they
Haven't
going to get
seen
rid
him
of
in-
it?
Who knows?
Been a
Ned's
lot
in
of
New Zealand, or excuse me, not New Zealand, Australia. And so they changed the daylight savings time at a different point from us. So all our schedules are off for him right now.
Yeah, I was very pleased so far with MSI's warranty service.
Mm-hmm.
I called them up, says, "Hey man, the power supply's dead. Threw sparks out the back. What's your serial number?" Okay, here's an RMA. Here's a shipping label. Get it to us.
Yep.
That easy. I was like, "Oh, that's nice."
Yep.
I had a power supply, an ASUS power supply fail. Oh, that was a runaround, man.
Yep.
And the what the can't remember which one it was. Oh, the AMD. My son's Ryzen CPU failed, and they're like, "Oh well, we need the Amazon receipt." I took a screenshot of the receipt, and they're like, "No, we need an actual paper receipt." I'm like, Amazon no paper receipts. Well, we need a receipt that shows the serial number of it. Amazon don't log the serial number. It's not Best Buy. And I just go through the runaround on that one. Finally, get a supervisor to say, "Hey, yeah, it was a legitimate purchase on Amazon, sold and bought from Amazon, not a third-party seller." And
Wouldn't really matter on a third party seller. Amazon doesn't differentiate really.
warranty does. If they're not, you have to be the on AMD's warranty. You have to be the first purchaser. Their warranties are non-transferable. So.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna argue that one, but I would think a licensed reseller or somebody who's a wholesaling, yeah, that just doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, but
It
moving
don't
on.
make sense. It don't make sense to me either. But I was like, yeah, it was bought and sold from Amazon. So
Yeah.
but there would be people on there that get brand new ones that sell privately on Amazon that could. I could understand AMD's point on that one. Buying bulk units and selling them as retail units or something. But
Kelly, you came back with a smile. What's going on?
So my mom had hip surgery this morning, and that was at 10 o'clock, and so she just got released from the hospital, so she had called me on the phone.
Fantastic.
So her and my dad just drove it to the house, and she just getting out the car and just dancing. And I was like, that's crazy. The technology they have now, you just have hip surgery and you can just get out and walk. Where, yesterday or, this morning, pretty much when I saw her at like 6:30 this morning, she couldn't even walk. Like she was, hunching over, and she was just
Okay,
been
bless her.
bad for the last few months, you know. And now here we are, 12 hours later, she's getting out the car and walking around.
It's
Yeah.
not pharmaceutical induced.
Huh?
Sure, that's not pharmaceutical induced.
Now what she says she's you know, um she's on like the light meds, but you know, she says she it's more of a ache than actually, you know, pain.
Yeah,
But it's just
I've
amazing
Just wait,
what they do
yeah,
now.
just wait a couple more days when it really kicks in. My
Well,
wife just my wife
yeah.
is 8 weeks out of her hip replacement,
Hmm.
and I had to literally wait on her hand and foot for the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, but
Yeah, they're doing it
so,
while you're awake.
hmm? Do they do it while you're awake?
They're doing those when you're awake. Yeah,
Oh,
they give
well.
you an They, I guess they're giving my brother an epidural,
Hmm.
and they're doing it while he's awake. I'm like, no freaking way.
yeah, you're awake. You're not very well sleeping actually, but they give you drugs and you don't remember anything.
Oh, well, I guess it's just like going to the dentist. I mean, when they do a freaking
Yeah,
root canal, it's the same
Mhm.
way. Yeah. But it's I mean that's good.
I'm glad that it's working out, and yeah, I could tell you're happy about something when you came
Yeah,
back, so
man,
that's good.
it was rough, yeah,
Yeah.
because I used to have to go over there
yeah,
all the time, you know, and try to, you know,
yeah.
help them out, do stuff, you know. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm just getting older now, so
Yeah.
She
She's got
mind
a
me
new
asking how
life
old she
now.
is?
yeah. My mother is 77 and my dad is 83.
Oh yeah, that's high risk.
Yeah, 83.
I'd
But
be
they're very
smiling
active.
too.
They are very active. They walk every
Hmm.
day. They walk every day, twice a day. They walk.
Hmm.
They're very active. So, and that kind of took a toll on her when she started having. I remember when she started having a little problem where she's like, "Oh, my hip hurt," you know, and you know she kind of started limping, and then eventually it started progressing, and then she went to the doctor, and they told her, well, you know, your hip done, you know, deteriorated and stuff like that, and then finally it just got to the point where she was just barely moving around. Yeah. And then you know, they scheduled it for today and I got up this morning. But normally I go to work about 6 o'clock. So I was like, I'm gonna hold off because she's supposed to go to the doctor at checking in the hospital at 7. So I said I'm gonna hold off. I didn't leave the house until like 7:30 6:30. So I just went over there and
Hmm.
saw her before she left. And then I said, once I get off, I come to the hospital. She's like, no, 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 you don't need to come to the hospital. You know, I keep you updated. So, yeah, but that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had like 4 Tormach boards come in the last 3 weeks, which is a spike. I mean, it's quiet there for the last year, and so I think I got one more board coming in. So
State are you in, Steve?
Hmm?
What state do you live in?
Washington State.
Washington. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I started doing mail-in repairs on them, so uh,
Well, that's
I wish they'd give me feedback if the repairs were successful or not, because I don't have a way to. I don't have the only ones I can check are the old main boards for the PCNC,
hmm
because I just throw those in mine and fire them up, but I don't have a new machine to check the boards other than just probe around and verify all the component values are working. But
Oh, Tormac is sending them in, not the individuals.
no, individuals are.
Oh, okay.
They
Right.
one was a power. The last one was a power drawbar controller. Uh,
Hmm.
of course, he sends it in for an exchange, and he don't tell me what the symptoms were on his board. So I had to call him up. Hey, what were your symptoms, man? Give me a clue here, so I don't have to spend an extra hour
Yeah, well,
tracing stuff down. You know.
first one, this
Mhm.
was sitting slightly higher.
Mhm.
I had to move it down and I forgot to move the X.
All right.
But yeah, it's pretty much if you have a spindle speed issue on any of these Tormachs, it's your or relay issues. There's one chip that controls your spindle speed and another chip that controls your relays. And those usually, if it's not the resistors go into your spindle speed, it's the chip. And if you replace your relays and it's still having issues, see you, Tally. Oh, wait. Then it's your ULN 2000 or 2003, depending on which version of board you have. So,
Yep.
And I had a I had somebody that's smarter than me, an actual engineer, look at their design, and he's like, yeah, they needed to put a capacitor and a drain resistor on there, and those chips would never fail.
Mhm.
So he's like, yeah, their engineers could have used some engineering help. So last time I did that, the CEO called me and said, what are you doing? Like making YouTube videos. That was on their lathe turret tool changer.
Mhm.
They have relay failures on them, and he emailed me asking me if I'd design him a circuit board for using socketed relays. So I looked up the relay, pulled the data sheet up, and looked at companion parts and found a socket. So the only thing they needed to change was their bill of materials, and I'm like, where do I send my engineering bill to? And I think your guys' engineers need a little bit of remedial training. Look at the data sheet. They didn't like that. That burnt the bridge with Tormach forever.
Oh well. Got you're smiling. What's up?
Not a whole lot.
Mm.
Smiling at you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen a router board yet. Well, it's probably the same board that they're using
For the Tormach router? Yep.
Yeah, it's probably
Yeah.
the same EMC board. The guy that Peter from Mesa designed it for him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
yeah, I've never actually seen Tormach's router in the wild. Their router table. I've never actually physically seen one. I look. I love my Tormach milling machine, and I would buy many of their other products. I'm not sure I would say the same from a value cost standpoint on the router. I think that it's overpriced. But that's me. If my goal is to just run Pathpilot on it, it's probably worth it. But for the same amount of money, I can get a lot more machine, I think.
yeah. Same with their surface grinder.
Yeah, I don't even think they make the surface grinder anymore.
Yeah, I think they stopped making it. It was just it was too small for the price they were charging.
Yeah. And that's basically what it is with the router for me from a size standpoint. The by the time you got it set up with vacuum cable, I believe, and it just lost the race. Had it come out 1 to 2 years earlier than it actually did, it would have been priced right then. But it hit about the same time all the others hit the market and they were less expensive. So that's all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wish I had a space for a decent router.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you use it for?
Making arcade cabinets,
Mm-hmm.
reproduction arcade cabinets is what I'd use it for. Route those out.
Why don't you partner with somebody? Have them make the cabinets, and you do the electronics. Okay. Just a thought. You don't have to have everything in your shop.
I prefer to be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
That way, if something screws up, it's on me.
Yeah. I used to do quite a bit of design work for other people, and I had a fellow down in New Mexico that and another one in California that wanted to do desktop cabinets, basically. Not the full scale ones, but we did 2 or 3 of those arcade cabinets, and then just at the end of the whole thing, we did one full size one, and that was literally a waste of space inside it because the modern components are so small and compact. You don't actually need all of that unless you're going to put in like really huge speakers in the bottom.
Well, even when 1980s machines, the board sets are
Yeah.
that big.
Yeah.
You know, they're just the size of a briefcase.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest part of that was the monitor, the CRT tube, and then the coin mechanism and hopper and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, somebody needs to make repros that are decent. There was one guy in Oregon making them, and he passed. And
Mm-hmm.
his son don't want nothing to do with it. But
Yeah.
I have
mean,
another.
Go ahead.
Oh, I have another Zoom group that I do that's all arcade, old vintage arcade stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say you can get the joysticks, you can get the buttons, the whole 9 yards. All of that stuff looks authentic and feels authentic. I've even seen the trackball.
But the lag time is not authentic.
Yeah.
Using a CRT and original hardware, you can't emulate any of that on these Raspberry Pis or little multicades. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it don't give you this. If you play an original and play one that's emulated, you can tell the difference. The original one's going to perform generally better than the emulated one.
Mm-hmm.
If you do an input with the original, it does that input. If you do the input with the one that's on a LCD screen and emulation, you do that input, you have to anticipate your input. There's that few milliseconds that you got to move quicker. It's lag time.
Mm. I'm not sure I'm good enough player to have recognized it.
Yeah, you can see it with your eyes. It's not like a modern video game where you can't justify 5 milliseconds. I mean, you're talking, almost a second.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I've seen some guys do some awesome stuff with routers. The technology in routing has advanced the last 15 years to where it was, we can just do, basic 2-dimensional stuff. Nowadays, it's like a big, long, short height milling machine.
Yep. Yeah, there's some amazing stuff. One of the guys in the group, Mike, I believe you pronounce his last name Bernasconi, has just done some amazing carvings. That he's like an artist at heart because he actually draws up his own 3D models and everything. And he just did one that was a woman's face on multiple layers. With sanding up. I'll see if I can find it inside of the group and share the picture. But just really fantastic work. Um, we've got some talented people in our group, and it's just wonderful to see what they're coming up with. Here it is. Let me enlarge that and then share the screen.
Yeah, just the idea of being able now to have a affordable tool changer.
Hmm.
I mean, my buddy, he had a router, and I can't remember. I have to look at the USB stick.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me his dongle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
look at this. I mean, the talent to not only come up with the human like face and everything with this kind of detail, but to put it on different layers like this, and
get it to pop.
yeah, it's just amazing. That's really talented. Let's see, Mike Bernasconi. I was right. So anyway, just thought you guys would enjoy seeing that. You can say we've got a lot of talent in the CNC Router Tips group on Facebook. Let's see if
Yeah,
there's
I can't wait to start going after some of these drive manufacturers. I've got almost everything ready to go for the Hague convention to be able to go after them in China and Japan and overseas, because you got to be able to you got to be able to have it's hard to go after somebody in another country,
I
another
was
company
thinking
in
that
another
China might be a challenge.
but there's ways to there's ways to do it to where if you do it properly, you can pretty much put a halt on their imports. I mean, just stop them dead with very little money and very little paperwork. So, because all you have to do is demonstrate the United States Customs and Border Protection that they're not following the right to repair laws, and if you can demonstrate that to them, that they'll stop the imports. So, if they don't want to talk and they don't want to come to the table, that's what you got to do.
Yep.
I wouldn't ever go after like Tormach or something. They're too small. That would ultimately destroy the company. You don't want that. Little mom and pop guy making a circuit in his garage. I don't give a care about that guy. I care about companies that are making multi-millions of dollars off of and not letting us repair the stuff. So.
Yep.
But it was kind of cool on Washington Right to Repair. At the very end, they were going to add aviation to the exemptions, and they listened to my emails and everybody else's emails, and they withdrew it. So,
well, isn't Boeing quite a large aviation company in Washington?
yeah. So, I mean, it's already hard enough with the FAA and the FCC to get a avionics repair station license. That's why we call it outlaw avionics when we repair. for experimental aircraft only.
Mhm.
And still technically we're supposed to have a radio repair license. So,
Mhm.
but if I get a circuit board and says replace this flash chip, I replace that flash chip. I don't know what the circuit board's for, right?
Remember, this is being recorded and going to be stored. So that's out to you what you're admitting to. But yeah,
I'm not admitting anything.
yeah,
I know nothing.
yeah.
I know nothing.
No.
And I
So
don't edit them, so yeah.
yeah, it's no, I don't get many of that in. So
Yeah.
that's-
Yeah. Uh, Kurt, what were you working on? Your router?
Yeah,
What are you
Yeah.
doing to your router?
I'm putting in, I'm making a motor mount.
Hmm.
And, you make everything you draw it online and into the software. Well, when you go ahead and cut it, and then you put it in place, it's never exactly where you want it. So, I'm making a second adjustment. And then, a couple friends of mine have been asking me if I can give them the plans to build their own. Well, I don't think I'll give it to you, but so I'm gonna make it just right. So in case somebody wants to buy the plans,
Hmm.
they can buy the plans and just do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into those. It's kind of hard to see just given away. Um,
It started out as a project because I got something in mind, but now that I've got the time and the leisure, I'm adding on things and taking things off and trying this and trying that, trying the geometry. And I've discovered that if you drive the z-axis from the top, the bottom of the z-axis is going to be a little bit unstable. So you want to drive it from the middle or the bottom, make it more stable. So you discover all these things that you never think of until you really get out there and try it. And you know the small desktop machines they're so flimsy that you can't hardly do much. Well, I'm trying to put together a nice desktop that's really strong. This is as strong as come on,
Pretty kitty. What is it? A serval?
it's a leopard cat. He decides that he wants to. If I'm looking at something, he's got to investigate it. So it's a Bengal.
Bengal. Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, it's a beautiful
I like
cat.
kitties.
Yeah.
he's like a 2-year-old.
Did you say Shingen or something like that?
Shingen, right?
Hmm.
Shingen Toranaga. That's the Japanese samurai.
Pretty kitty though.
Large too, uh, and very active. Yeah.
You got that right. He's very demanding. I mean, I've never seen an animal so demanding. He's like a 2-year-old. When it's time to get up, you get up. If you don't, you you will get up.
I spent some time this week working on a project that I'm gonna cut out on the router, um, model airplane stuff, and it's it's really kind of sad, actually. I I originally built a CNC router because I wanted to make model airplane kits with it, and I got so into the routers that I never got back to that project. So I have actually not made RC stuff, radio controlled stuff with the router. Well, that's got to change this summer. Period. So, um, because I don't want to leave that undone. You know what I mean? It's the whole reason for getting started. And I took this step. I started the CAD work, and I'm going to see what develops. So, it's a little something that I was able to do while I was not feeling so good. I could sit down and do CAD at least. So anyway, it was a neat project for me. Anyway, Cat, how
Yeah.
are things at the shop?
I haven't been out to the shop lately, but I do have a project that I'm helping somebody out with. He's doing epoxy inlay on a table that he made. Wanted me to draw it up in V-carve so he can cut it out. I did it with pocket. It's basically his last name. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he's putting on the tabletop and he's going to pour epoxy in it. I just did it with pocket. I started out with doing a V-carve, and the letters were so big it was cutting like too deep and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I just went with pockets on it. I can show it to you guys if I bring it up.
Sure. When we have a problem with things being too large for V carbon, we just set a shallow depth for the whole thing, and it only will carve the sides down to a specific height, and then the rest will be flat bottom. That might be a solution for other
Yeah, I
projects.
did a flat bottom, but the time was like it was still up there around 2 hours. I was like, "Man." So when I did a pocket and did it just 3/8 deep, it
Mm-hmm.
took it down to like 52 minutes. So
You could do the V carve with the shallow depth and specify a roughing tool, and it will remove most of the pocket with the roughing tool first, and then do the V carver on the outside, and it'll cut your machining time down considerably.
let's see if I can get back into the Zoom call here. Got my screen up. Let me see here. Got too many windows open.
Mm-hmm.
So share. Which one do I want to share here? This one right here. Okay, so you see it there?
Mm-hmm.
That's that was what I came up with. Can't really tell the depth with it. With the let's see if I can can't see none of my toolbars now.
Go over to the right where it says toolpaths. Click
Yeah,
on that,
right. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
that'll
there we
fly
go.
out.
Got this in the way here. Let me change this to material color. Material color, there we go. But I did do the down here where it says established 2007, that's done with a V carve.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I figured, okay, well, I did try to do a flat depth and do a uh use a roughing tool to do it to get
Mm-hmm.
down to that depth and then come back with the V carve and clear this out. But the text doesn't have that many sharp points on it other than these down here. So I figured, this is just not going to be worth the
Mm-hmm.
time to do that because you're not going to see the V carve effect after he puts the colored epoxy in it.
Exactly. Yeah.
But he's supposed to try to cut it out tomorrow. I don't know how it's going to work out for him. I hope it works out.
Yeah. It's good. Actually, it's a good choice not to V-carve that now that I see it. Because you wouldn't see the V-carve, and Just wasting your time.
This is probably a good idea to V-carve it because it's so small, you probably have to use
Sure.
an 1/8 inch bit or smaller to get that, but I don't know if I've got my time estimates right or not. I haven't cut enough on the on their machine to really get the time estimates down, but I have it set at 6, so that's probably it might be high. I don't know.
Yeah, there's the only way to know is to run code, time it, then
Yeah.
make your adjustments.
So right now, even with doing the pocket, it's still an hour. So at a scale factor of 6.
How many? What's your cutting speed set at?
500 inches a minute for the 3/8 tool going down. I believe it's an 1/8 inch per pass. Let me come in here and edit this. 3/8 mil. I'm doing a step over of 80%.
What do you get for inches per minute? Is
500 inches per minute,
500? Okay.
250 plunge,
All right.
18,000 RPM. So
Is
that's pushing on.
his machine capable of 500 inches per minute?
Oh yeah, they run it at
Okay.
that cutting 3/8 deep, and this is just going
Okay.
how deep is it going? 3/16. So it's
Mhm.
doing it in 2 passes. That's more than, I mean, they could probably run it faster than that, really. But he's
Yeah.
doing it in solid wood, and I just don't want to put a bunch of fuzzies on it. I want to see if he's got a down cut.
Mm-hmm. And this is a 6-foot sign, basically. So
Yeah, it's
yeah.
70, almost 72 inches by 39. So I mean, it's going to take some time just because of the size of it.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know how to get it down any quicker. But that's not bad. An hour, really. I mean,
Yeah. When you look at that size, that's not bad at all. And it's not surprising because I don't know how tall those letters are, but
yeah,
I'm
they're
guessing.
it's 6 inches from the outside edge.
Yep.
It's supposed to be like a 6 inch border around it. Let me see if I can turn off my tool paths here. I can tell you about how it should be about 6 inches though. Let's see.
It was a useless search. I was trying to find the controller and dongle for that router.
So you're looking
If I
at
find it, I'm gonna
about,
give it to somebody on here. You guys will like it.
that one there's about 10 inches, almost 11 inches tall, that H there.
Yeah.
I was going to say
It's going to
11
take a
inches.
while to cut that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think I got it down about as quick as you can get it. If it cuts faster, I'm gonna set the timer on the on the post processor on the NC output and tell them to keep track of how long it takes so we can set that tune that scale factor in for future jobs. But I believe it'd be a different scale factor for something like this would be a different scale factor than something that's like a 3D carve.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Because I did shoulder mount for my son, and it was like 8-hour carve sitting there watching that thing going around and around and around. But that's about what I got going on right now. Besides doing some layouts and stuff for people. But how do I stop sharing here? or did I stop?
No, you're still sharing. Um, there's a green button down at the bottom that says
Yep.
share. Yep.
I got red button says stop share. There we go. I think
Yeah.
I got it now.
Oh,
But
if I find that controller, I'm just gonna list it on your router tips for free. Anybody wants it. It comes with the Sentinel dongle, just like a USB stick, and that that activates the controller.
Mhm.
Kind of like old industrial sewing machines. But I know I got the controller and dongle around here somewhere, and it's specifically for a router. It can't be repurposed for anything else because it talks to their software. And I can't remember the name of the software. It's a big name brand company. But
Yeah, you can post anything like that. That's personally owned or whatever. We don't have a problem with that. Members post their things that they may have for sale all the
this is going to
time.
be a freebie. This is
Yeah,
just
for freebie stuff, no brainer.
it's
The only thing
in a
we don't,
box. I'd rather it in somebody's machine than in a
Sure.
box.
Yeah, the only thing we don't do in the group is like companies like I don't know if Tormac wanted to show their Black Friday sale in the group. We don't do that unless they put it inside of the Freedom Friday thread in the group, which is exactly what that's designed for. Every Friday, you got something you're promoting, throw it in there, and we leave it open all long so they can actually throw it in any date during the week, but it's going in that thread so it doesn't clutter up the rest of the post, and then they don't post it 7-8 times, like everybody does.
we call it Spam Friday.
Yeah. Yep. So I recently asked the folks in the CNC Router Tips group whether they wanted to continue doing the Freedom Friday stuff or whether I should just open it up and let anybody, do whatever they wanted to. And they were very adamant about it. It was like, no way. We don't need the spam. There's other places that can spam us. So
Yeah.
we're gonna keep doing that. It's nice to have validation every once in a while. So that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to get back into VBA programming too. I've got a old program that I made that I'm trying to update and upgrade for that shop that I do work for. I made a door cut list for them. I'm trying to get it more automated where they can export door sizes from their cabinet program into the cut list program in Excel. And I've been away from VBA since I had my stroke, and I'll tell you, I've been going back through some of that code I wrote. I'm like, man, wish I could remember all that.
Yep. You're talking to VBA that drives all the Microsoft stuff like their Visual Basic and everything. That
Yep.
VBA. Yep. Yeah.
Visual Basics
Yeah.
for application. Yeah,
Yeah.
where you can write macros and record macros and stuff. But
Went to a surplus store out here, Surplus Gizmos, and I've heard of it for a while. It's one of the very few surplus stores we have left. We used to have a place called Wacky Willie's and Delodes and a few other places, Tektronix. My son, he's like, "Can I have this book?" He's like 30 years old, and it's like C or something, with a 5 1/4 floppy from the 80s.
If he wants those kind of books, I'll send him a whole box full of them from when I was taking C and Java and VBA and SQL, and yeah, you can have them. I'm never gonna write another line of code if I can help it.
I used to enjoy it. I mean, I still enjoy. I would love to get back into it, but it's kind of hard to wrap my head around it again.
Yeah, if you don't
Mostly,
use it, you lose it.
Yeah. That
Nope.
It's a
when
perishable skill. I got some VBA stuff I wrote 15, 20 years ago, and I go, man, I wrote that stuff?
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and of course
basically
you
what
didn't.
I'm going through. You had to step through it and debug through it to say, okay, now what was I wanting to do? How did I do that?
Yeah,
What was the reasoning behind this?
and of course you didn't document any of it while you were writing it.
Well, actually, I did, and that's helped me out a lot just from the documentation. That's the first thing that I learned when I started learning it. I actually learned it from what's his name? He's got a YouTube channel called XLVBA is Fun. Um, Dan Strong,
Hmm.
and that's one of the things that he stressed was to document it. Explain what you're getting ready to do, and then when you do something, you know just document it so you can go back and read it and see what's going on, especially when you're debugging somebody's got a
Hmm.
problem with
Well,
something.
you two, maybe Bill's old enough to recognize this. The 386.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah.
What was that? ISA maybe? No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ISA.
Yeah.
But if you can see the green,
Yeah.
Yep. Look at all them slots.
yeah, corroded slots, the battery right there destroyed this board. It's that's the state of these things, but these things are still used, believe it or not.
Hmm.
And if they're salvageable, I try to salvage them. And
My first computer was PC based computer was a 286.
oh, got one out there too.
Yeah. Um, that thing was huge. Weighed a ton.
My first one was a Atari 800, and then a guy gave me a Packard Bell 8088.
Hmm. Well, I had
And
computers before the 286, but I specifically said PC based. Yeah.
My first one was a TRS 80.
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
Trash 80. Yep, yep.
Yeah,
okay.
my half brother's father, he was a biker, and he was like, "You want a computer?" Little. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, better than the Odyssey 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
My
Trash
first one
80.
was a Commodore VIC 20. You
The
ever heard of
color
those?
computer. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Color Computer 2 from Radio Shack. TRS 80 Color Computer 2.
Mhm.
Yep.
Um,
Trash 80.
yeah. My college roommate the year before that had an Atari. Oh, what was it? It was an Atari computer, and it had a spot in the top of it where you push a button, and a door opened up, and you put cartridges into it. And it was one way that you program it. Um, we did not have a hard drive. How the heck were we saving code? Hmm.
You saved the code on a tape machine, and then they went to a little floppy drive.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
that's right.
Commodore I had a cassette tape you would
Cassette
put in
tape.
there.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just trying to remember with the Atari if there was something else besides that, because it didn't have a floppy drive or a hard drive.
Jeez.
Um, what Atari XL maybe something like that.
Well, I had Atari 800 XL, and we modified it. I used it for college, for engineering school,
Yeah, I gotta go look.
and then I had a Starbucks printer, 8 lines per minute, whatever it was.
Yeah. Ah, found it.
So you
Atari
write a
8-bit
paper.
computer. Yeah.
Yep, you write the paper, and you have to submit it the next day. So you turn the printer on before you go to bed, and you get up in the morning, and it might be done.
It was an Atari 800. was the
Yeah.
name of it, and just
Yeah,
uh,
you wouldn't believe how many machines, CNC machines out there that are old in industrial automation still use old Windows 3.1 and DOS
mhm.
and Xenix. I seen
They're
Xenix
running good, aren't they?
last week. I was like, whoa, Xenix.
Yeah,
Santa Cruz operations Xenix.
yeah. This
Yep.
is it. This is let's see if this picture will open up here. The Yeah, that had these slots for cartridges on it
Mhm.
to program it with. Um, the thing that I liked about this particular one was it had a music program in it that you could actually write, um, I believe, two-part harmony, polyphonic music on it, and we did that because I was a music. I was taking music courses in college, but yeah, um, that got me started. And then I went to the color computer when I started working at Radio Shack the following year. So
But you're a Radio Shark escapee.
I am, yeah. Uh, I left that take my to go through the academy, and after never really went back. I was right at the point where they were trying to give me a store, and I said, nope, I'm going to the academy, and that was that. But it is what it is. I don't regret a thing. Um, I enjoyed Radio Shack though. It was fun. They had a lot of cool products back in the day. They didn't have their identity down at that point. You could actually buy a microwave oven at Radio Shack at the time, like 83, 84, 85, I think it was 80, 84. You could buy a microwave at Radio Shack. You know, this was new technology and it was electronic, so they sold them.
Yep, the little Timex Sinclair, the Z80 chip. That was a nice little toy, but it was state of the art back then.
Yeah. Do you remember the ColecoVision
Yep,
Atom? Yeah,
yep.
ColecoVision Atom computer. Uh, that was made not far from me here in upstate New York. Uh, yeah, there was a lot of old PCs. Um, hmm, anyway, yeah, I uh, enjoyed messing with those when they were out. Um, when I got into CNC, everything was PC by then. Um, I've never seen any CNC that was running on Mac. Just it just didn't do. They just didn't do it. I don't know why.
Don't see it now, do you? A whole lot.
No, I can't think of one. Can you?
No, I've heard people getting programs to run on Mac that are Windows based, but they have to use some sort of plug-in or something. But
You have to
Hmm.
use parallels or something,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Yeah,
they have to make a hack, and then they'd be mad because it wouldn't run, and they blame it on the Windows.
yeah. Now I don't know if they were ever able to use Linux CNC on a Mac. That seems like a remote possibility because they're both variations of Unix. Um, hmm. But it seems like you're either running on a PC or you're running on a Raspberry Pi or an Arduino or some similar microprocessor or an FPGA. Is it? Yeah, it's FPGA, right? Yeah.
Those little microcomputers like you were talking about
Field
last week,
programmable gate array.
are they Windows based or
The micro,
yeah, the little
like
cube,
the Raspberry Pis and things,
the ones
or
that they were showing that you guys were showing, they were probably about, I don't know, maybe that big
oh,
or
the
a
PC, the
PC.
little PC. Yeah, those are
Yeah,
PCs with Windows 11 on them, I think. Um, the ones we were getting from Amazon.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see if I can find
So
that
you
real quick.
take one of those, say you go on vacation, you stick it in your pocket or whatever, put it in your suitcase, and you
Mhm.
just need a monitor and you plug it in and you're good to go, or monitor, mouse, all that, or do you
Well,
have
you
to hook
could
it
do
up
it.
to another?
Yeah, it's just like your desktop PC, except it's
Smaller.
smaller. Yeah. I'm trying to see if I can find that one. I got that from Mike. Let me see real quick if I can find that. But it's what was it, $140 or something like that?
Yeah,
Uh,
that's pretty good, and it's got all that. It's still got all that RAM and memory in it.
mhm. Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, it didn't have a fan in it, so it's not going to get clogged with
Dust
sawdust,
and
etc. Yeah.
that'll be something good to have in the shop.
Yeah. Um,
Only thing you got to worry about replacing is the monitor when it gets clogged up.
yeah. And going back through the thread to try and find when he sent that. It's been about 2 months, right?
Uh, it's been at least a couple weeks, at least about three
I'm
weeks,
back
I
to
guess.
January already. I don't think that was that far back.
It was
Uh,
episode before last, I think. Not last week, but the week before. Maybe
mhm.
we were talking about it. I don't know. Might have been three ago.
Yeah, I'll find it. Because I'm looking at it live while we're doing this. You know how that works. You'll scroll right past what you're looking for. Uh,
Yep.
This is my kitty kitty.
there we go.
Looks like he's about to
Wow,
fall asleep.
looks like Dr. Evil's cat, except or not Dr. Evil. What was the James Bond one that he was based on? Um, the old James Bond movie with the white Persian cat or whatever. Yeah,
She's a
Here's
good kitty.
yeah.
here's mine.
She's stuck on me like glue most of the time. So
Oh, you got a Devon Rex.
she's pure white with blue eyes.
Hmm.
She's attached to me. Just
Yep,
oop, I
yep.
get
So
this.
that was it. There you go. I found the PC that we were discussing. Here it is. Yep, 127. It's gone back down.
Oh, little bricks.
Yep. This one has an N5105 in it, Celeron. Um, it does pass the test to if you wanted to run it with Centroid Acorn. It's small, obviously, 2.8 inches by 175. Um, got USB 3.2, compact, micro SD card. Um, it's got USB 3s and USB-C, Ethernet, two HDMI's, that sort of thing. So, it's got pretty much all the connectivity you need, and they run very well for PC for Mach 3, and others. So 127 is kind of hard to beat.
Yeah, been trying to convince my wife to let me get a alt mill. I was wondering if something like that would work with that better than, or just as good or better than the computer that they offer. It's like $400 to
Do
500 or something like that additional.
do not know. I'd have to look it up. But this one does have a cooling fan. I'm sorry, I thought it didn't. It does have a cooling fan, but it's realistically not going to kill it. Yeah, 'cause most of the bars have them. But you can get it with more memory. This was an 8 gig, and they've got a 12 gig version of it. So
Yeah, most of those bricks are okay to run Pathpilot as long as you're running it via Ethernet.
let's see, alt mill, you said, right?
Yeah, I think they use what's it called, GRBL.
Oh, no, no, no. Um, well, listen to me. I'm being, I wouldn't enjoy using GRBL, but others do. So you said there is um a uh, a PC that they use on these. Let's see if they show it in here anywhere.
I forget what it's called. It mounts to the side of it. You can, you can put
Yeah,
V-carve on it and everything.
right on the leg of the machine here, I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
it kind of comes off to the side. It's got like I don't know, like you would, you could tilt it and turn it and stuff. What is the name of that? Look under resources, maybe. Not G-Sender. Oh, would be wherever you find accessories for it.
Don't know. G control panel computer.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it mounts right there.
Okay, it looks like an all-in-one PC. Let's see.
Touch screen, yeah.
Longboard trailing. Let's see. Not just a CNC interface. It's a fully functional Windows computer that can run. Okay. 6 of one, half dozen the other. Because with the other one, you gotta with the little one, you've got to buy a monitor. This
Yeah,
one's
yeah.
touchscreen. I don't know the specs. Let's see. Here we go. Let's find the specs. Windows 11. It's got a different processor. Problem is the N100 a Celeron? Do you remember, Steve?
I'm not sure.
Okay. It's a touchscreen, 8 gig of RAM. HDMI, VGA, Ethernet.
What are they
Okay.
trying? What is he trying to run?
He
I was
wants
just comparing the system, the computer that they offer, Altmill or CNC Labs offers, uh, as an accessory to their machine versus that cube little box. If it would be
Yeah,
better
I know
to,
the N100 is a common CPU. You can get those really cheap. I mean, like
the
$100.
the advantage here for them, you get a touchscreen monitor that's loaded with their software already.
yeah, that makes sense.
But whether it's worth the 500 or whatever, you say 436 here.
Yeah,
Okay, whether it's
436.
worth 436 or whether it's worth rolling your own with this other one, because I mean you're already up to 150 and now you have to add a monitor, a touchscreen monitor.
Yeah,
That's another $200, $350.
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
So they're pretty
but
much breaking even on it, probably.
so by the time you add the monitor to this and a keyboard and a mouse, you're getting close.
Yep. Plus, you don't have the support.
Nope. But that's at 143. I'm sorry. That was, we're not comparing apples to apples because that was an 8 gig. That's 127. So
Yeah.
that makes a difference. $20 difference.
That's negligible.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to go with what that's tried and true that they've tested and works, and they're selling it with their system.
Yeah. Well, if it breaks down,
They should be
don't
able
know
to at
what their
least be able to
warranty
help
is.
you.
Well, let's see. What's their warranty?
Probably 1 year, about like everybody else's.
180 days.
6-month warranty.
Yep.
Well, it's guaranteed to last you 6 months.
Roll the dice.
I've heard a lot of good things about the alt mill.
Yeah, let's look at the machine real quick.
It's got a real fast rapid
Which
on
one
it.
you looking at? The 4x4?
4x4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you got steel legs, bolt on, but aluminum uh, bed pieces and rails. You've got linear guides on the X. Let's see, you can't tell on the Y, but it looks like linear. Um,
It's all ball screwed in.
yeah,
I
we'll
believe
see these. Yeah,
they are linear. Yep,
yeah,
got the linear
I
rails.
can see it's linear rail on the side there.
yeah. I'm
The holes.
curious. I'm curious whether it's round rail on the side.
It's
Um,
it's not it's
It's
not
not.
round.
I can see the rail on the side when you zoomed in.
let's see.
It's not rod based.
One thing I've heard is that the leg systems on it's kind of it's
Flimsy.
stable enough you could cut with, but they say you're gonna want to shore it up with something, put some type of you know storage rack under it or something, shore it
You
up
see
with some.
you see these 4 bolts that were they right here, 4 bolt
Mm-hmm.
holes. You
Yep.
stuff a piece of aluminum and go from, or not aluminum, but steel, go from there to there, screw that sucker together, tie those legs together. You do that on all 4 sides. And now they're working together instead of separately.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Um,
A lot of guys will put a lumber storage
yeah.
cabinet under their drawers or
Yeah.
whatever, just
You could do it
something
on the
to.
base here as well, down, down low if you want. And that'll be much stronger. Even stronger than that would be diagonally bracing it. That's another story.
Or
It's gonna
cross.
move eventually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some guys even, if it's against the back wall, they'll bolt it to the wall of their shop,
Mhm.
the back.
Yeah. I'm gonna see if they give me a picture of the side of this. Let's see, maybe here.
I think it can cut up to, I think feed rate is like, might be 650, could be 800 inches a minute.
Okay. Yeah, it is linear rails on the side as well. Okay. That was the ball screw nut I was looking at. But yep. Not a bad price.
No, the price is spot on, in my opinion, for what I've seen that it can do,
Mm-hmm.
a 4x4 machine.
But you can get I mean, if you want a touch, you can get a touch screen. I would rather avoid the mini PCs and any of this CNC stuff. Um, if at all possible, avoid the mini PCs. Um, and go with, you can get like an HP for $50 and have 10 times the power
Yeah.
and have more compatibility of additional hardware and more stability. But I'm not sure what CNC controller they're using or anything. So
It's
Um,
the GRBL or something like that. And that's the post processor that you use and VCarve is GRBL.
yeah, but that wouldn't be their CNC controller.
Probably G Sender then.
yeah, they had that. G Sender is software actually, I think.
I'm not sure with what routers you're using for their hardware.
Yeah, G Sender is based on GRBL or BLHAL. Uses both of those, but they're using Raspberry Pis for most of it. You can either download the software for Windows, Mac OS, surprise, or Raspberry Pi,
Yeah, but I was wondering about
the hardware.
the hardware.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that. Software, hardware.
Is it kind of, are they kind of like using it like a 3D printer type deal to where you do it and then plug in your stuff and then hit send?
Don't know.
I think you use
Boards. There
you
we
you
go.
export the program to a thumb drive or directly to the computer at the machine through whatever program you're using. It's a NC file and
Mm-hmm.
you
Your
download
GPIO.
that to the machine and then hit go, you know.
Here's
What
one thing I found. Um, super long board.
yeah, that's it right there.
It's a 5 times hell. Um, let's see. Let's see if there's any more information here. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of set up like like a uh, like a CNC board, or not a CNC, but a 3D printer board.
Yeah. These folks, I interviewed them on my podcast when they first came out with their first CNC machine, the one you see behind them.
The
They've
long
come,
mill.
yeah, they've come a long way since that. No, the long mill wasn't their first. CNC, SE, they spelled it weird. It was the
Well, it's open
CNC
source
Labs.
hardware. They've
Yeah.
got the open source logo on it. So.
Um, so it's probably used in something else. 32-bit brain, call it. Let's see. The super long board. CNC,
Well,
SIENCI.com.
yeah,
That's
they've got
where they,
schematics and everything else on it, so it's
yep,
open source board, which is nice. So
yeah. Anyway, they had four ports on it. Input and output stuff on it. Looks like Ethernet on the side. Definitely a card reader. Yeah. So anyway, that's see if we can handle the alternate 4 outputs. USB, not Ethernet. Sorry. Um, touch plate, which status lights, motor outputs,
Oh, here's the Ethernet. Tool link sensor, laser,
Yeah, it's
rotary
RS.
A axis.
Yeah, it's set up kind of like a STM32 based, like Ender
Like
setup.
under, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've seen there. So
Yeah, I haven't seen where they offer the tool length sensor other than the touch plate. That looks like the one you sell
made on
or
Earth by
make.
humans for best results.
Uh,
Looks like they might have stole your idea of for your three-way touch off.
you
The way
know,
that,
they wouldn't be the first, but that's all right. Let them go. At this point, it's you know, that barn door's been open a long time. Let's just
yeah,
put it that way. Um, anyway, this is what you're looking at from them. The alt mill, the long mill, super long board. Yeah, so the long mill was a much simpler machine. It used aluminum. Originally, it used the one that was in that picture before. It used aluminum angle iron or angle bracket, if you will, as the rails, and then they put roller wheels on that. Then they went to this aluminum extrusion, which was different. Um, so yeah, they've improved quite a bit from their first product. So I think if I were choosing between the long mill and the alt mill, it would be an alt mill any day
yeah.
versus the
That's
long mill. It's just a more polished product.
yeah. It's more how you say it rigid too. Um,
Yeah,
I watched a
yeah.
video. I believe it was a guy cutting it close or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was doing a comparison with between the Shapeoko I want to call it Shapeoko Pro or whatever it's the higher end Shapeoko versus the alt mill, and he was like he would buy the alt mill
Mm-hmm.
versus the Shapeoko. I mean they're similar in a lot of ways, but they're different enough that it's worth you know well worth the money to purchase the alt mill.
Yeah. I'm just I don't use GRBL. I played with it when it first came out. Um, but I was doing a lot more stuff with Arduinos and Raspberry Pis and things like that back at that time. And if I just wanted to program and play and create new things, then I would go down that rabbit hole. But if I just wanted to cut stuff and make parts and be in production, I would go with a more mature system. That's all. Um, because time is money, and if you're programming, you're not cutting.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I don't know a whole lot about switching back and forth on different controllers or whatever. Is it hard to like what they come with to switch it to something else? So you have to do a whole bunch go down a bunch of different paths to do it. Is it actually worth it,
Yeah.
or is it better to use what they sell it with or sell with it?
It's a fantastic question. And there is no one answer. Um, these guys, CNC Lab, came up with a system. There's a system that they've documented and put out there that, they give you videos on how it works. If you're happy with that, then go with that. Once you get it, however, if you decide that you want to do something different, well, now you got to do research and now you got to choose components. And I almost certainly guarantee that it won't be, well, I'll just use the drivers from this to drive the stepper motors. because the drivers are built into that board. Okay. So you'd have to take and get new drivers for your motor, either like a Gecko G540 or whatever. I'm just naming that because it's a one solution that you can buy off the shelf any day from Amazon or wherever. And then you have to decide what you're going to drive it with. Are you going to drive it with Linux CNC, Mach 3? Are you going to use some other software? Or are you going to go down the road with, what is the other one that comes all built up with a touchscreen monitor? At any rate, are you going to take one of those solutions? In every single case, you're paying about a third of what you paid for that machine to add new controls to it. So you're in the $1,000 range.
Yeah.
So by the time you know get to that point where you decided whether or not it's what you want, chances are, if that's not doing it for you, you want a new router,
Yeah. A whole new
a
system.
different router, and you
Yeah.
just sell that sucker down the road, get your money out of it, and buy a new router.
Yeah. Use
That's
what's tried and true and tested by the manufacturer, and
Yep. Go
that's
see, depending on where they're located, if they're near you, go see there, or go see if they've got somebody who's got one. Go get near the machine, see what it's doing, watch it operate, see if it's something you like.
yeah. I'm
Worry about it.
trying to get a way to get to Vegas this year to the show. I'm pretty sure they're going to be out there. One thing I was going to look at was their routers and the different hobby slash, what do you call it? Not pro, but not hobby either.
Prosumer.
Yeah, prosumer
Yeah.
brand router.
Yeah.
Um,
So what's your budget?
Probably in the range of the oatmeal. You know, I don't have, I looked at the Legacy, and they're a little bit out of my range. You're looking at what, 24 grand start with on the Legacy 3x5 Maverick.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I had to go down, and I found out about the alt mill, and that kind of, you know, that's if I was going to get something, that would be around the price range that I would be hoping to get to.
So what's the top end of that price range for you?
Probably 15 grand. I mean,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, then you're talking 15 grand. You're well above the price of what this costs.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be the most, if I had somebody, my son, he's going to put up a shop for his long care business that he's got, and he said that when he got one put up, I think he's going to put up like a 40x40. He said that he would go in with on a CNC with me. Um, so that might go
Mm-hmm.
up from there. I might be able to afford to get like a Legacy, a nice Legacy or something like that.
Yeah, if you're gonna be as I tell people when they say, "Yeah, I can buy this machine and then I'll retrofit it later on," I'm like, just go buy a used industrial machine for cheap, and then
Mm-hmm.
just start with that as a base for retrofit, and you'll be much happier in the long run.
Yep.
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 If retrofitting and building your own is crossing your mind, don't buy something pre-built. Or if you do buy something pre-built, buy an old unit that is somebody's discontinued and
Yeah.
completely go through it. That way you know what you got. That
Yeah.
And if you're buying something that's pre-built, get as much as you can afford.
Mm-hmm.
If your budget's 15,000, shoot for 14.5, 15,000.
Yeah.
Don't Ruskin's rules of economics, man. That's in machinery. That's what I tell people. Ruskin's rules of economics. If you go with the bottom of the barrel, lowest cost thing, you'll end up spending more in the long run when you change your mind. It don't meet your needs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna show you something real quick here. This is just an auction site. Now you talk about, guys are building a workshop with lots of room and everything. So this is IRS, which stands for Industrial Recovery Service, not Internal
Not
Revenue Service.
it's an
But
IRS auction.
this is a commercial grade router. Okay. That you're probably similar to the ones that you're using at work. Okay. Its current auction price is $2,200 right now. It'll probably sell for less than $5,000 by the time it's done. But here's the catch. When you buy it, you're going to pay a premium on it, for the bid. So if you bid $5,000, there's 10, 15,
10,
whatever that percentage is above that.
15%?
Yeah. And you'll have to go and have it removed within a specific time limit and shipped across country or whatever. But this company where it's sitting is a company that's gone out of business, and they're about to be out of their lease, and all this equipment that's here has to be moved away. Now, this machine is probably got maybe aggregate heads. Yeah, it does. By that I mean it has drills for, drill different multiple tools at once. So it's got an automatic tool changer to begin with. And it probably, articulates this. Now, I'm not advising you to go buy this machine, but I am just showing you that with less than 5 minutes of looking, I found a machine with a wine rack tool changer. It uses a transformer, in case you didn't see that. So this is going to be 3-phase, which you may not have, but anyway, and you're well under your $15,000 price.
Yep.
You're getting a lot of machine. It's used. If something goes wrong, you're going to pay through the nose to get it fixed. But let's say it went. Yeah, go ahead.
If you can find something that is surplus out there, and there's a lot of them, and there's actual user group community support on, you won't really pay that much if something goes wrong, to get it fixed, because there's usually somebody that's already made a part or has a fix for something. They've already got a source for ball screws that are already ready to go off the shelf or something.
So, I just picked this one at random. I went to this auction site because I knew that they often have this type of machine. In fact, I helped a guy buy a machine like this at one point. But you got to have your ducks in a row if you're going to buy something like the auction, because it's got to happen quick.
Yeah.
And sometimes they require licensed riggers to move them out.
Yeah. So you got to figure that into the mix.
Just to move it out of the building and put it on a truck. You're paying almost what you're paying for the machine sometimes.
Yeah.
And these are located wherever they are. They may not be near you. And so you might want to consider that before you were to bid on something like this. Where is it? How am I going to go get it?
Yeah, if I was, wanting to start up a business and everything, that would be different, a totally different story,
Yeah.
But I'm talking about something that, maybe cut out at like that tabletop like I showed you earlier. Just small stuff like that. Just to stay busy, because I don't work,
Yep. This was just the first example I found that was a router for sale.
Right.
if you were to look down through their site, you find other things here, and they're not the only site out there. There's millions of sites, well, hundreds. Anyway, that have
Yeah.
stuff like this, but you
I
got,
got a
you're thinking
friend.
outside the box.
I got a friend. That's how he gets most of, if not all of his equipment is from sites like that. He got a cooler for his air compressor. It was rated for a 50 horsepower compressor. And I think he probably uses something like a 5 or 10 horsepower compressor. But he said it blows out cold air. The air that comes out of it is cold, you know.
Mm.
And he paid like $1,000 for it.
Yep.
And it's probably a $10 or $20,000 unit, you know.
Yeah.
Just an air conditioner is what it is. But
You mentioned dust collectors on the same site. Uh, this is an industrial dust collector.
yeah, that's
know,
one similar to like they got out there at the shop
yeah,
that I used to work at.
yeah.
Real
I
similar to
guarantee
it.
you, just one section of this is more than the asking price right now.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've seen some of this. They just had an auction up here, a government auction,
mhm.
and all the equipment went dirt cheap.
Yep.
Dirt cheap. I mean, it was. I was like, oh, I should have bid.
Yeah. Yeah.
I even
Until you realize, okay, I
I
got a bit of
registered.
flatbed out there. Got the
Yeah, it
riggers.
was J Stout. J
Yeah.
Stout Auctions is a big one online. They travel around the West Coast, and I'm registered, and I paid my $1 to bid, and I was looking at some of the stuff, going, hmm.
But
Yeah.
this friend that I got now, he bid on something and realized it wasn't what he actually was bidding that he wanted to bid on, but he won the bid and got it, and before they had to get it out of the building, he had resold it and made a profit off of it.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
he didn't have to touch it. He just flipped it over the internet, you know.
Yeah. Yep. And if you got your ducks in a row, it can happen like that, and it does every day. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. But things to
Y-
think about. You can get.
Yep.
I'm going to give you one piece of advice, Scott, since you're in the thought process of buying a machine. Buy your second machine first.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I understand that totally.
Yep. Don't,
Um.
if you're settling between two machines, if you can swing that other machine, the second machine, the one that's the better machine, it's only slightly more,
That's
that's
what
the
I
machine you
just.
want.
That's
Yeah.
what I said. Get the most you can get out of you know what your budget is. So,
Yeah. When I bought the Tormach milling machine, it was the most expensive thing I'd ever bought that wasn't a car or a house. Okay. I got it loaded. I got it with everything that I could could think of at the time. The only thing I didn't buy was the auto tool changer because I knew a guy who had one that was going to sell it, and I bought it from him for a fraction of what a brand new one would cost. And then I put it on because the Tormach, you build it um, anyway. At that time, uh, you assembled it, so it didn't matter if I was going to have a tool changer on it. I had to put it on anyway, so it didn't matter. Um, but I got it, as loaded as I could, and it hurt for about, well, it hurt, but 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 it paid itself back,
Yep.
and um, if you're just doing it for a hobby, I got different advice for you. But you know, if you're trying to make money with it or pay something off with it, you're going to regret going cheap.
yep.
Yep.
Even hobby, you're gonna regret going cheap.
Yeah. And my son's theory about it is he's like, even if it's a hobby, it still needs to pay for itself, you know,
Yeah,
because once people know you got something like that, they're not going to take no for an answer that, well, like me, I can't make I can't make a show of income or anything like that, but he can, so.
Mhm. So anyway,
I don't want to
that's
talk about that too much on the internet, but you know how it is.
yeah, yep,
There's ways around everything, but
yep. All right, fellas, we're past time. We usually try and end these at 9, but we were into something that I thought was important because you mentioned buying something, and
yeah, that's
uh,
always important.
give you the best advice I can while you're in that mode, rather than having me saying, "Ooh, did you know about so and so?" later, and
Yeah,
you've already got the other thing.
Yeah, we
yeah,
call machine buying and airplane buying pretty syndrome. You know,
Hmm.
you look at it, the machine looks all pretty, nice and dazzling, and till you get it.
yep,
Yeah.
So always inspect, and pre-buy.
Hmm. Yep.
And make
So
sure your seller packs it well.
yeah, unbelievable. All
Oh,
right, folks. Um, if you'd like to join us next week when we do this again at 7 p.m. Eastern time, we put a link inside of the CNC Router Tips group. I think I've got the process down now where I can put the link in ahead of time. It's we haven't been doing that because I would get one link and something wouldn't work out and I'd have to do it another way, and then I'm just posting twice and posting it confused.
yeah.
So
The other
yeah,
group I'm on, they have just a common link that's
yeah,
been going for
permanent.
permanent. Yeah.
Yeah, yep, and we can get there. It's just it hadn't been working out prior to this. So yeah, thank you, Facebook, for changing the algorithm. Uh all right, folks, you have a great night.
Okay.
Good luck, Kurt.
We'll see
Thank
you.
you.
Bye
yep. We'll
bye.
see you guys later.
See you later.
Bye bye.